Okay, and at the same time I have already an existing batch which used to happen 7 to 8:30 in the initial 15 days of time. Then after we moved to 8 to 9. Then after as that batch is going to end, and for them also DAX need to cover. From today onwards, I am starting a class at 7 to 8:30 for everyone for next 3 days or 4 days, so that we'll cover DAX and the security for both the batches, and then after the project implementation, and finally report server. We are going to cover those four topics most probably the 7 to 8:30 and this weekend time. So that is the plan. Okay, I hope all are in sync, and we are good to start with the DAX. Next 3 or 4 days we are going to cover the DAX. We are going to cover the DAX. Along with that, security concepts will be covered. Along with that, the project implementation also will be covered. Okay, so that is the plan for next 1 week of time. So next 3 working days in India, it will be 7 to 8:30, and remaining time, like on a weekend, what time we are going to connect, I will let you know. So we are going to fully concentrate on DAX and security and the project implementation. So Rashek, are you able to hear me now? Anyone has any issue? Anyone has an issue with my audio? Please let me know, so that will be resolved for audios and video. Fine. So DAX, as I already given a heads up regarding that in a Power BI second class or third class, DAX is nothing but data analysis expressions. Data analysis expressions. Here it is used to query on a Power Pivot model. On Power Pivot model, if we want to analyze the data, we use DAX. Okay, and it is a querying language on Power Pivot, Tabular SSAS, and Power BI. On these three places, if you wanted to query, or if you want to extract the data, or if you want to retrieve the data on top of this model, you have DAX is there. So SQL for a normal relational databases, and MDX for a multi-dimensional databases, and on a Power Pivot you have this one called DAX. So that is what DAX. So here, with the help of a DAX, you can do many things. As part of that, the key results are, the end products of a DAX are, you can do what we can do with the DAX is, you can create a measures, and you can create a columns, and you can create a tables with the help of a DAX. These are the end products. End products means by using a DAX, what you are going to achieve is, you are going to achieve these things. It might be a measure, it might be a column, it might be a table. The column and table both are static. If you want only one column, you can use the column concept. If you want to get a table, multiple columns, you can use a concept called table. Both are static, and measure is a dynamic one. So DAX is a querying language on a Power Pivot or Power BI, and with the help of a DAX, you can achieve three things. Either you can create a measure, you can create a column, and you can create a table. And in order to achieve these things, you have a lot of concepts are there as part of DAX. Those are the key features or concepts of a DAX are. Here you have a concept called variables, which you can provide an expression, you can evaluate an expression, and you can store the data of that expression you can use it as part of your further expression in the same measure. Instead of recalculating the same, sometimes whenever you are writing a complex expressions, we are going to repeat the same statement multiple times. Instead of doing that, you can assign a value to a variable, or you can assign an expression to a variable. You can reuse it as part of the same measure any number of times. So variables concept is there, and then after you have operators, operators, and then after you have functions, and then after you have exception handling, exception handling or error handling is there, and parameters concept is there. Parameters. These are the key features which are available, are key assets which are available for a DAX to accomplish these things. To accomplish measures or a columns or a tables, you have these concepts are there. So before continuing further regarding the functions and operators and the variables, there are some standard procedures or standard purposes to use these concepts. So before understanding, I already conveyed, even the latest batch also we covered 2 or 3 days back, when to use a column or when to use a measure. But the DAX is as we are discussing it separately, we need to understand that one. At the same time, you need to understand 1 or 2 points which is a common across all the places. So whenever you are referring any column, you must refer a column name with the help of a table name. We need to refer the column with the help of table name prefix by providing a table name as a prefix. So if there is a table called X and it contains a value called, and it contains a column called some ABC, if you want to refer that column, you must use X of ABC. It is a standard way of representation. In a specific table, you can use ABC, but whenever you are working with the complex calculations or whenever you are working with the different tables, you must use the column name like table name prefix. And whenever your table name contains spaces, the table name contains spaces, we need to add the table in double quotes, the table name and column name. So remember, these are the 2 points. Whenever you are accessing any column or any measure, the table name must be prefixed, like the column name must be prefixed with a table name. So whenever you are analyzing any model which is done by someone else, if you see a syntax, some table name of bracket column name, so don't get scared. So it is a standard way of representation. Sometimes even if you are not using that, that might work, that will work, but here it is a standard way. So these are the 2 points, remember that one, and remaining points will be covered as part of that columns and measures concept. So columns, as I conveyed in the last session, so as I said, with the help of a DAX, you can create 3 things: columns, tables, and measures. Now, the columns concept, I clearly mentioned that we can, so it's not mean mentioned. Let's mention now, and we'll go with the columns concept and work on a functions of which can help the columns. So let's take 2 minutes to represent the data whatever we mentioned. So columns, as I mentioned, it is a calculated or derived or a computed, whatever the name that you call. It might be a SQL server, it used to call it as a computed column, or if you consider SSIS, we used to call it as a derived column, If you consider SSA as the calculated column or whatever or wherever, however you refer, it is a calculated or computed or derived column based on the existing columns, with the help of operators and functions. So a new column concept or creating a column in a DAX is nothing. What is a calculated column or derived or computed column, which is created based on the existing column with the help of operators and functions that we have. And whenever you create this column, it will get refreshed at the time of data load. And 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 it will save the data. In model, in a tabular or Power BI model. As it is storing the data in the model, it will occupy the memory. And as it is already calculated, it will get the data faster. It is faster and occupy the memory, and it will save the data in a model. And it is static, as the expression is evaluated only at the time of data load, and then after it like if you want to see the same expression at a different granularities, it will not work at all. So it's a static, and it can be used at date and time or textual columns. We can use it. Okay, at a date and time related calculations or textual column calculations, we can use the columns concept. And sometimes for intermediate calculations, we can use the columns. If you don't want to use intermediate calculations, you will use a functions called sumx, minx, maxx. There are some functions in aggregations which you are going to understand in coming sessions. Like by default, sum, min, max, average, all the functions will be there, right? Similarly, we have a sumx, minx, maxx are there. What is the purpose of that one is, it is going to evaluate an expression, and then after it is going to make a sum. So on a fly we are calculating the intermediate results, and on top of it we are performing a sum. Instead of doing that, if you want to perform a separate calculation, you can use a columns concept. So overall, for leaf level or least granular level calculations, if you want, as part of your report, we can use columns concept. So if you wanted to see the data at a specific level, I don't want to see in a further aggregations. Okay, I want to see the data at a city level only, I can use a column. But if I want to see the data at a state level or another level, that data will not work. Okay, so if you wanted to see a leaf level or granular level data, at that time you can use the columns. But if you want to see the same data at different granularities, it will not work, the columns concept. So this is the concept of a columns. Now from here we'll continue to that functions, and we'll see how to create a columns and what are the different functions are there. We'll see. So before continuing further, there are some people who might join now, like Satish, audio connected, fine. So we started a DAX today, and a new batch was started 7 days back. If anyone joined newly, you can share me your email ID so that I will give the drive access to you people, so that you can go through whatever we have done. And we started a DAX as part of the Power BI sessions, and as part of it, just now we had an introduction that a DAX is nothing but a querying language on a Power BI. With the help of DAX we can do these things, and these are the concepts. And what is the columns I mentioned. Now we have a DAX functions are there. People used to mention DAX is a functioning language. Why? Because it has a lot of functions. Okay, as there are many less references are there, people used to write whatever they want. So as DAX contains a functions, people are mentioning it as a DAX is a functioning language. People started mentioning, and everyone mentioning the same concept. Okay, whatever. But DAX has functions. A lot of functions are there. Out of it, date and time functions and time intelligence functions, filter functions, and information functions, logical functions, mathematical functions, and trigonometry. If you want, trigonometric functions are there. Trigonometry functions and parent and child functions and statistical functions and textual functions. These are the different categories of functions that we have. These are the different types of functions we have as part of a DAX. Okay, so here the first category is date and time. So date and time, there are a lot of functions. As I mentioned, the columns concept will be used mostly for date and time and textual columns concepts. We are going to use the columns. So here the date and time functions, there are a lot of functions which will work on a date and time columns that you have. In order to create a date columns or time columns, you can use this one. Out of it, the functions that you have here are calendar, auto, date, dative, year, month, day, time, hour, minute, second, and date value, end of date, and end of a month, and today, now, and time value, and weekday, week now. These are the functions that we have under date category. Under date category, these are the functions are there. Now let me take a fresh report. Yeah. So what I will do is, like, I will not write the syntax over here. Okay, I don't want to pass the time. I want to follow one implementation that. So for each category of functions, I will load a fresh Power BI report, and all those functions as a separate column or separate method. I will write a function as part of that Power BI file, and mention that the file name as a date and time functions, or logical functions, or some other functions. Okay, so corresponding file will be shared. So whenever you are practicing, you can open that specific function syntax and you can use it if you want. Okay, so let me load the data. Arpit, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Viwas.
Any issues with my voice?
No, it is fine.
It's not now, like so far whatever we have done.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, fine. So as I got some personal messages regarding the voice, I'm just checking. Satish, please increase that volume. Okay. Is 9 there? Okay, fine. So I loaded the data. Let me truncate the data. And here, okay, fine. So I have, these are the columns on a sales data table. And today or tomorrow I will share the another data source regarding the product implementation also. So this is the data that I have. Now, as part of our DAX functions, let me change the order. Okay, fine. So here, like there are two functions are there today and now. So what is the purpose of today is it is going to return the, like, first of all the date and time functions by default their return type is date and time format. Irrespective it is going to return a date or a time, by default the return type of a date and time functions are, or it might be date functions are date time, or time functions are date time. Okay, the return type of a any function with respect to date and time category functions are date and time. So by default time in our SQL server it is going to represent 000000, but here it is going to represent 12:00:00, 12 a.m. it is going to represent. And in a SQL server by default that date time is like date, by default date is 1900 January 1st, but here that will be represented, let me mention all those things. By default all date and time functions return type is return type is it is date time format, which contains a date and time. Default time in Power BI is 12:00:00, and default date is it is Default date is 1900, like here it is 99 12 00 00, which in SQL Server it will be represented as all zeros. Okay, but in Power BI where it is going to represent like this, in SQL Server the date will be represented as January 1st 1900, but here it is going to represent 31st 1899, which is nothing but the one day before, right? So the same thing. So these are the date and time default values. Now the today function, what it is going to return is, it is going to return the today's date it is going to return. And now function, it is going to return the today's date and time, both it is going to return. Okay, so here, like time date, let me create a new column. Everything I'll create as a new column only here for all the dates. New column, I'll mention it as, for everything I'll mention as m underscore. It's a column, right? It's a f underscore field I'll mention to make it clear. F underscore today. If I mention it as a today, what it is saying? It return the current date in the date time format. It is going to return date only, but it is going to return the date time format. As I mentioned, by default format is return type is date and time. So today it is going to return today's date, but the time you can see the default time, it is giving 12:00:00. It is not correct. Now it is, the function concept is today's date it is going to return in the form of a date and time format. Okay, why it is returning I'm also not sure, but today is going to return today's date in the form of a date and time. The time you, whatever you are seeing 12:00:00, that is the default time, you can ignore it. That is today's function. There is another function called now. That now function, the now function is going to return the today's date and time both. You can see it is current date and time, both it is going to return. If you want to capture what exactly the time now, date and time, you can use this one, 6:7:22 seconds. That is what the function you have today and then now. Now is going to return the date and time both, and today is going to return only today's date and year, month and a date. So if you want to extract an year or a month or a date from the existing date, so you can use those functions. There is a function called year which can extract the year from the given date, year of a t date. So it is going to extract the year from a date. So you can see 2014, 14 is coming, 15, 15 is coming, and 16 you are having the 16. So field underscore year I am mentioning, so it is going to get the year from the given function. Similarly, we have another function called month, which is going to extract the month number, not a month name. We have another function called month, which is going to extract the month of a given date. It is going to return the month number of a given date. So it is returning the month number. If you want to get the month name, there is another way is there. You can use the format function. You can generate a month names also, but we will see that one later. But for now, the month function is going to return the name of a month. And if you want to extract the date based on a day level, if you want to calculate something, you can use a function called day. We have a day function is there, and day So it is going to extract the day from the given date. From the given date, it is going to extract that corresponding date. So these are the three functions. If you want to extract the day or a month or a year from the given date, a transaction date or sales date, whatever the date that you have, order date or purchase date, whatever the date, if you want to extract those details, you have these functions. You can extract the day like a year or month or a day. Now here those we are done. The next one, there is a function called date. What a date is going to do is it is a reverse operation. So what you have done is you extracted the year, month or a day from a from a date. Now you have a year, month and day. If you want to generate a date based on this, you can make it. So I have my fact table or I have my dimension table which contains three different columns as date, month and year. At that time, if I want to generate a date, we have an option called a new column. We have a date which is going to take the three parameters here. We have a year and next month and day. F underscore day. So from these three parameters you can generate the year. So what happened, Ravi? One second. Okay, fine. So I'm giving the three parameters as input to the date function, and then after we are going to create a date based on that one. You can see that a date was created and the date and type I said it's date and time. So date was created as similar to this one, September 1st 2016, like September 5th 2016. In the same way date was created. So if, from a date, if you want to extract that year, month and day, you have these functions. From these things, if you want to generate a date, you have date function is there. Similarly, you have a type here. So just give me a second. Now I'm able to hear me? 9? Okay, fine. So that is what the date function. Have been attending from the last 10 days, still facing the issues how to log into WebEx. Okay, so the date function is that one, and the next one is hour, minute, and second. Let's assume you have a time column is there. From a time column, you have to extract the hour or minute or second. You have that functions are there. So I already have now function. From now, I want to capture the hour. Okay, so here I am creating a new function. It is nothing but f underscore date, and the next function is a new column that is nothing but f underscore hour, which is going to extract the hour from the given date time. Okay, So here where you have a proper time, I have a proper time underscore in a f underscore now column. F underscore now column I have an hour. So click on hour to extract the hour from a given date. So from a given time, at that time the time is 6, it is returning the it was extracted, the hour was extracted from that column. Similarly, you have an option called hour, minute. So here if you want to extract the minute from the time, you can extract it. So I already have that one. Let me change from here. So if you want to extract a minute from the time, you can extract it. And then after, if you want to extract a seconds, if you want to extract a seconds from the given time, we have a second function as well. We have second function as well, which can extract the second from the given time. So from at that time it's a 20 seconds, but some 20 seconds were captured. Okay, so these are the three functions which is going to extract the day, hour, minute and second. And next there is a time function as well, which can build a time based on the hour, minute and second. So let me create another column. F underscore time. So time I'm calculating based on hour. I have based hour column is there. I have minute column is there, and I have second column also there. So based on these three things, I'm calculating the time. So whenever I calculated, you are able to see this is what I mentioned. But by default date is this one. I calculated time, but it is the return type is date and time. By default date is 30th 12 19 18 9. That is the default date. Okay, on top of it you can, and on top of it you can extract the time whatever you want. So that is what the time function that we have. And then after, you have a function called a date value and a time value. Date value and a time value. So date value, time value are value functions are nothing but if the data is available in the form of a textual data type. If you want to convert into date data type, at the time we are going to use a date value functions. Now understand, let me hide all these columns. You cannot hide them now. Fine. So I have a date function is there, like date column is there, which is in the form of a textual. Whatever the key date that I have, that is a textual data type. That is a textual data type, which is in the form of a textual data type. You can see text. Now let's create a new column year of T date. which is in the form of a text. Fortunately, it was created, but on fly, it will not recognize that is a date column. Why? Because your data type is, so here it's a whole number. Here whatever you have, that is a textual data type. Okay, as it is a textual data type, on fly calculations called methods or columns, it will not be recognized as a date. So whenever you written some greater than less than operation on top of this date, so I told like Jahnavi or Krishna, I told to accomplish one requirement which can get the data for last 7 days, last 30 days, last 40 days, last n number of days. We are going to write a DAX expression which is going to return where today is less than some n number of days. Whenever you are performing less than, greater than with that date, if that is a textual column, how it is going to perform a calculation? Here it might come like here you might got the year, here you might get month and day. But whenever I perform a greater than less than with a textual data type, will it work? It will not work. At that time, what you need to say is, boss, it is a date column which is available in the form of a text. So you can convert the textual column into date column with the help of a function called date value. So now in which format? It is in textual format. You can create a new column. You can create a new column f underscore date value, and here date value of a t date. So what it is going to return first of all is, so it converts a date in the form of a text to a date in the date time format. So you already have a date column which is in the form of a text, which is going to convert into date and time. So it's a date and time, it was converted. Now you can see date and time. So if you have a date or a time or a value which is in the form of a text, where the data type is defined as a text, that one you can extract, you can convert into corresponding format with the help of the value functions. You have a date value function which will convert the date which is available in the form of a text to date, and similarly you have a time function, time value function, where the time, if the time is available in the form of a text, that will be converted into a time format. That is what date value and time value functions. And next one is date difference. Date difference is going to calculate the difference between the two dates. It is going to calculate the difference between the two dates, and so here fortunately we have two dates are there. One is this one. Let me convert my actual date into date column format. So date, and there is a concept called today or f now. Like now or today, any one column I will take and I will calculate the difference between today with the transaction date. So date diff is a function which is going to calculate the difference between the 2 days and return based on the interval whatever the parameter that you pass. F underscore date diff, here it is going to take date diff function. The date diff function is going to take the date one called t date and f underscore today and what is the interval based on what you want to calculate. I want to get a difference based on a year or based on a month, so let's take based on a month level. So click on enter. So it is going to calculate the difference based on a month level. So from today to like from today to that 2016 September is 16 months difference. Okay, so like that, like it is going to calculate based on a year or a month or an hour, whatever you want, whatever the interval that you want, whatever the interval that you want, you can represent at that level. Okay, so that is what the date diff function. It is going to calculate the difference between the two dates, and and the date diff. The next functions are edate and eo month, e month. So edate, I want to calculate today before n number of days or after n number of days. Today I want to calculate today's date. I want to calculate before or after n number of days. Okay, so from hereafter or from the date when they register next 5 years. Okay, from the day a transaction entered, next 1 year I am going to provide a warranty. How do I know next 1 year? Like when the transaction is going to make, when I know. Okay, after inserting a transaction, I don't know that the next 1 year when it is. So you can create a column mentioning that, boss, if today we are going to make the transaction, then from today, next 1 month I am going to give a support. Next 1 year I am going to give a support. I need to understand what is the trade, right? Next 3 months, or next 6 months, or next 100 days I am going to give a support. How do I know? That thing, you have a functions are there. So one of the function is edate. So what it is going to do is edate the start date and how many months. Returns the date that is indicated number of months before or after the start date. From today's date or whatever the date that you mentioned, from the date for n number of dates it is going to return. Okay, so here it's not a state, the date and after 3 months from there is a column called today, right? So we calculated today, from today onwards next 3 months. So if I give FE date, so they are mentioning like a 4th month 10th is the next 3 months today's date. Okay, so you can call it as a maturity date. Okay, so if you want to calculate like this, you can calculate. And the same way, you want to find month end, you have E month is there. So on this day, what is the month end date? After 3 months, on that month, what is the month end date? You want to calculate, you have new column called.
Srinivas, can't we give number of days in that instead of number of months?
Number of months, like where it is, like as part of this one.
As part of E date, yes.
Like for that function is accepting only number of months. Okay, that is specific to months. And if you want to play with number of days or number of years, anything, you have a dated function is there.
Okay. And one more thing, if we want only truncated date without time, then how to get it?
You need to convert that one as a date. Okay, so on a fly you need to convert that one as a date. You have format functions are there. With that format functions you can specify whatever you want, which format you want also you can specify.
Okay, thank you.
We are going to see.
Yep, thanks.
So the next one, as I said, like it is going to play with only month. It is going to play with the months it is accepting, returns the date that is indicated number of months before or after the start date. Okay, so now there is a function called end of a month. So month, so month and t date, and here, so sorry, give a month. Here also the start date you need to provide, like the today, from today, for after 2 months, like January, February, March, it is going to return in a March month. What is the last date? Okay, so you can see that in a March month, this is the last working day. If you want to find the last day of a month, you have end of a month function is there. From that you can calculate. The next one is the next function is weekday and a week number. So weekday, if you want to calculate that what is the day in a week, we have a weekday function is there. So which can extract what is the day in the week, like a new column. So f underscore weekday equal to, like here, so weekday of today is part of, like I have one column called today, which is containing the today's date. It is on what day of week. It's the first, second, third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth, or seventh. Here, if you provide a return type as a 1, the week starts with a Sunday. If you provide the return type as a 2, it starts from a Monday. Okay, it starts from a Monday. If it is like if it is a 3, it is going to start from a Monday, like the value starts from a 0. So it is going to return, like you need to provide from where you wanted to start, like so you want to calculate from Sunday as a first or Monday as a first. So based on that, it is going to return the values. I'm mentioning as a 1, which means Sunday will be considered a first value, and today or whatever the day it is, based on that it is going to return a number. It is returning as a 4, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, so as it is Wednesday, it is returning a 4. So based on the parameter that you passed, like if you consider 2, it will start from a Monday as a 1, it is going to return a 3. If you provide a parameter as a 3, it is going to start from a Monday, but the indexing starts from a 0. So that is what weekday, what day of a week if you want to calculate, you can pass a weekday. And the next one is week number. In that year, what is the number of a week? Week number. Okay, so you have the week number in a year, it is going to give. So as part of calculating that week numbers, if it is the 1, it is going to start with Sunday, or if it is a 2, it is going to start with a Monday. So if you want to calculate what is the number of a week, sometimes some trends that we are going to show as part of our reports based on a weekly trends also used to represent. Last 4 weeks trends, last 5 weeks trends. If you want to represent that one, you need that dimension. So, so week number, if you want to calculate the week number, you can. So as it is, we are early starting of a year. What happened here? That we should not take a transaction date today, as we are early starting of an year. It might be second. It must be second. It is saying the week number. So that is what the week number function. And the next one is the calendar function. So sometimes we need to calculate the date dimension. Okay, at that time there are different mechanisms are there. So calendar function, which is going to generate a calendar based on the given dates that you given. So here the calendar is going to return a table, not a column here. It is going to return a table. So if you want to return a table, you have a new table option is there. There you need to mention that boss, I require a calendar, and what is the start date? Start date, I want to start from 2017 first to 2018 last. So date of 2017 of 0101 is the starting date, and ending date, it's the date of 2018 month 12 and the day 31. So what is the start date, what is the end date, we need to represent. So whenever you create it, there is one column will be created, there will be one column get created based on your start and end dates with the column called date. You can see from the 1st January to like 2018 December till 2018 December, you will get that one. That is what a calendar function. And calendar auto is nothing but it is automatically physically here, like it is going to return a table based on that dates that you have from your whatever the table that you have on that table. Based on the date minimum and maximum, it is going to generate a dimension table. So returns a table with one column of dates calculated from a model automatically, it is mentioning. So physically year end month, it is saying whatever the input parameter that is given, we don't care. So we have a date column is there. And auto, anyways, I don't care, I am ignoring that one. Before doing that one, see why I am ignoring is it is an optional parameter. Okay, you no need to worry about that parameter. Okay, so before calculating that one, if I calculate, it is going to give some nonsense. So it is giving from a 2013 first to 2016 12th. So why? Because your sales data table contains the dates from 2013 to 2016, and whatever the other date column that you mentioned, that is a calculated table, that is already calculated, and that will not be considered. So as you have the data in your transaction table, so it is even not considered this f underscore today. It is considered whatever the source having the data from 2013 to 2016. That is the reason you got the dates were generated for that period. So calendar will automatically create a date table for the dates that you have as part of your model. That is what calendar auto function. So these are the functions that you have under the category of a date. So whenever you have a transaction date column, you can extract all these things. Any other questions on top of it? These will be used for a column purposes. Anyone has any questions?
Hello.
Yes.
In date function or calendar function, we have to see the timing at 12 a.m. It is possible to change the time or not display the time.
You can convert once it is created. You can convert that one to like only date, or if you want to change the format, you have a change format options are there. You can make it.
Okay.
You can
But
make it.
actually we see some of the supermarket, some of the applications, the end of the time is the evening 5 o'clock, evening 6 o'clock.
Hmm,
This
hmm, hmm, hmm. Hmm.
this way we can do the function in the calendar or in the date function.
So yeah, so there are two concepts are there. One is calendar date and financial year date. Okay, like how you are going to organize your date dimension is the main thing. Okay, so if you say that like there are multiple columns will be there, you need to specify that what column you want to consider as a dimension and everything. And here, whatever you are suggesting is based on a time. 1 second. So we are referring with respect to time. There is some requirement. So can you please clearly explain that requirement so that I can further proceed?
Actually, we see the website the like of any the means Amazon or the Flipkart any site.
Hmm.
Some of the products we give to the time after
Hmm.
timing is the close offer.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there's a mention in this calendar function or date function.
Hmm. So that if you want to represent a time, even Power BI supports a timestamp and everything, you can represent. Okay. So that is different, and this date dimension is different, right?
Okay.
And if you want to represent, there is a now function is there which is going to extract the exact time now, and I will specify that from this time to next 1 hour or next 30 minutes or next 5 hours, whatever the time I will mention till that time, it is going to showcase something. After that, it will be hidden. It will not showcase. If you want to accomplish that functionality, you can write it. You can calculate the target time. I can create another measure and I can represent. So this is the ending time. Or we have a timestamp visualization which is going to return the timestamp also. Countdown it is going to represent also. Okay. So this concept is completed date and time dimension level. If you want to extract the date or a time from the given date and time, you can extract it. And how you want to use it, like we'll see at like a Power BI level, you can use it like anything. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone has any questions?
Krishna.
Yes, Krishna.
Srinivas, actually, this calendar year showing some starting date from January 1st, like that, right? So
Hmm.
normally we'll have calendar years and fiscal calendar years. Like for
Hmm.
example, if I want to show as a fiscal calendar year starting from October 1st,
Hmm.
so September 30. So how can we calculate that kind of calendar, like display?
Even even it is even your physical year starting from July 1st. First of all, it is a date only, right? Okay. But based on your calculation, you don't want to start your value from a January 1st. You want to calculate your values from a July 1st as part of your YTD, MTD, QTDs. That is what your requirement, right, Krishna?
Exactly, exactly.
So that will be considered at a like a time intelligence function, saying that boss, you need to calculate from here, not from a January 1st you are going to mention. Okay,
Okay.
but
Okay.
at this point of time it's a date dimension. Like even though whatever the date that you are going to start your fiscal year, date is a date. Here there is no difference.
Okay,
Okay,
with the time intelligence
so
functions, we can achieve
with
that.
yeah, at a time intelligence functions, whenever you are going to calculate YTD, MTD, PTD, open all the things, at that time we are going to say that boss, don't calculate from January 1st. You need to consider this column or calculate from here. Consider this as a starting day of any year. So based on that, the calculations, that rolling totals will be happened. So that is what the thing. Clear, Krishna? We are going to see that one. Satish, if you are speaking, I am unable to hear you, sir. So first thing, from tomorrow onwards, once you in, everyone's like Deepthi say good morning. All the people who ever join from institute. Okay? So it becomes a very difficult to me to fix this one. Even after 1 month, it is not yet settled.
Hello, hello. Yeah,
Yes, Krishna.
it got disconnected. Power gone, so I connected from mobile.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, no problem. I got the concept.
Okay. Satish, waiting for your message.
Srinivas, can you explain what is a format, what we can do with the format function? Just glance, that's it.
So format, we are going to convert the types. Okay, the return types, we are going to, like casting is there, no? In other programming languages or even database level also. So at this point of time, whatever you saw as part of complete date and time functions, month number you are able to calculate. But I want to calculate a month name. Or you have a specified date formats are here, but you have a required format called boss date 2 numbers, month 2 number, year 2 numbers. You might or you might not have the predefined format for it, but if you want in that format, you can represent it. Like however you want, you can customize the representation of your data. Okay, so like date, however you want to represent, you can specify the format and you can showcase it. Let's assume I need to represent the data in the form of a, like your client asked you to represent the data, boss mention month comma month colon year. They asked you. This format might there or might not there, but you need to represent this format. So by using a format function, you can say that boss, this is the date column, and I want to represent in this format. Okay. So whenever you mentioned, your date will be represented in this format. So it's for a conversion of your data. You can define your own format from there. The numbers and date and times, it will be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. Satish, able to hear me? Shankar Reddy, are you there? Shankar. So is Shankar Reddy means DS Reddy, is it? I thought a new person joined here. You are giving a different name. Okay. Huh. Shankar Reddy. No, nothing. Okay, fine. So as you unmuted, I thought that you have some questions. Fine. So Shankar, any question, Shankar? Brahma, Arpit, Ashraf, Karthik, Manasa,
Hello, Srinivas.
Rajshekar.
Satish మాట్లాడదానంట.
Okay. He said nothing, right? Satish, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Satish.
Like if you want to, if anyone asks to prepare the data from particular date to some other date, like which option we have to use?
Whatever they ask, you need to select the date dimension by default. Next, like whatever the data that you have. Let's assume you have a data at a database level 3 years data. Okay, so you need to model your data with respect to last 3 years to next 1 year or 2 year. You need to create a date dimension like that. And if they ask you to get the data for only 1 year, you are going to filter the data and you are going to share it with them. Okay, they might ask you later time for another 3 months or another 1 year, another quarter. Whatever they ask, you need to prepare a generic model. As part of it, date dimension is very, 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 very important. So you need to create a date dimension based on how much data that you have, and the next 1 year, 2 years you need to calculate, or till today you need to calculate, and till that time you need to get the data. Okay, sometimes we are going to represent the data till today. At that time, if you have a date dimension till 2020 or 2050 if you have, okay, that is going to impact your dashboard and report. So at that time, from 2013 or 2010 or 2015 to till today, we are going to generate a date dimension, so that whenever you want to represent last 1 day of data, last 7 days of a data, what you can do is you can use the date dimension column and you can mention that last 7 days, last 1 day, last 30 days. That will be helpful. So we need to make a generic model, not a requirement based model.
Okay. Done it.
Yeah, fine. So fine. Fine. So those are the date and time functions that we have, and I'm stopping here. From here we'll continue in the next session. So just give me a second. Christian, I will give you an update regarding the drive in next 2 hours after. It will take next 1 hour to 1.5 hours to go to office. I will give you an update regarding the drive access. Okay, so let me reshare my screen again. In next session, we are going to continue with the information functions, logical functions, and the textual functions. We'll close it. At any cost, we'll close it. These 3 categories, and then after we'll continue with the other functions later. So that's it for now. In next session, we'll continue with the other category of function, information, logical, and textual categories. And then after, we'll continue with the mathematical and statistical. Then after, parent, and then after, filter, and finally, time intelligence functions. We'll try to complete all these things by maximum of a Saturday. Okay? So that's the day, Friday, Saturday, or maximum Sunday. We'll close it everything by Sunday, and then after we'll see how it goes. That's it for now. Regarding the drive, I will update and I will confirm you people. So if you have any questions, ping me through WhatsApp. Other than drive anything, and just give me a second.